In this video, I want to take a look at coming up with an equation of a line that is parallel to this given equation and also crosses through the point -3, -3. So key information here that they're telling us that it is parallel to this line. Well, what does parallel mean? Parallel means that the slopes are going to be equal. So if the slope is -2x, because if the two lines are parallel, that means that they never cross, so the slopes are going to be the same thing. So if it's parallel to this equation, then what we want is we want an equation given this slope crossing through this point. So it's a fancy way of asking, create an equation with this slope of -2 because it was parallel to this equation. So if I graphed -2x plus 3, so if we want to just graph that real quick, y-intercept of 3, slope is down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Here would be that line, -2x plus 3. And we want an equation that is parallel to that. So the graph is going to look like this, or something like that, where it's going the exact same direction, but just maybe shifted somewhere else, or it's crossing through the point -3, -3. So we really don't know where it is right now. We have to figure that out. So we're going to use point slope to come up with an equation in the end as y equals mx plus b, where the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. So here we go. I'm going to plug in this point and this slope into point slope. So this is my x1, this is my y1. X and y is the ordered pair. So y minus the y1 of -3. Be careful here. Y minus the -3. So it's minus the -3, which is going to become plus 3. And I'll write that down in a second. But let's just finish filling out the point slope form. Times the slope, -2, times x minus x1. So let's rewrite some things and clean this up a little bit. We have y minus a -3, which is y plus 3, equals -2 times x plus 3. Again, minus a -3 is really plus 3. And then now it's just a solving exercise. So I'm going to distribute the -2 into the parentheses. Y plus 3 equals -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 3 is -6. And then I want to solve for y by subtracting 3. We get y equals -2x minus 9. Sorry if you heard anything. There's a fish tank behind me, and the fish were going a little crazy for a second there. So let's just recap that process because I got a little distracted by the fish. We have x minus the -3 is x plus 3. Distribute the -2. So -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 3 is -6. And then we subtract 3. -6 minus 3 is -9. So then this would be my slope. This would be my y-intercept. So if I were to graph this, I'd have y-intercept of -9, same slope as my original equation. So down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And my line would look something like this. So two parallel lines that was originally parallel to this given equation. So you got to be able to take the information and understand what it's saying. If it's parallel, if it's perpendicular, if they're just giving you some slope and a point, if they're giving you 2 points, you got to be able to interpret what they're asking you to do and correctly, and then use that information to figure out, like, I have this slope now, I have this point slope, or maybe you have to calculate slope or do some other things, like who knows. But you got to be able to interpret the problem and then translate it and solve from there. So there is our equation.